Now, today we've got Tom Hughes with us, and he's going to tell us about his Kickstarter project. Hello, Tom. You okay?
I'm Grant. Lovely to be here. How you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. So, what is it all about, Kickstarter?
Well, I mean, essentially, Kickstarter's where you can go to throw on a project and hope people like it and want to back it. Used to be a little bit more rough and ready. Now you've got to be a little bit more sort of polished and things for Kickstarter. But essentially, it's just about getting something you love out there and hoping people want to jump on and back it.
And you started out in the computer games industry, didn't you?
I did, yeah. As a fresh-faced 18-year-old, I started by testing games for Microsoft, which was the dream job at the time. Sit down and play games all day, and from there I got into games design and a bit of producing and things like that. And was sort of always making cardboard games alongside other games and learning and stuff like that. But when you're working for bigger companies, you've got to sort of design the games they want. And I thought it was about time I tried to design a few that I wanted to.
So that's how you broke out on your own on Kickstarter. That's where that's come in.
Yeah, exactly. Myself and a good friend of mine, Pat, who unfortunately can't be with us today, is an artist, and he's sort of working all of the artwork, and I'm working on the games design, and it's a nice mix to come together and get something going.
Is it scary striking out on your own?
I think with something like Kickstarter, you've got the sort of the safety net in respect of you don't have to build the stock before you start selling it. Like there's an assurance before you commit a lot of money that there is an interest already. So that makes life easier, but it's still, it's terrifying in a good way. But yeah, it is terrifying. Yeah.
But people can just bring about just about anything out on Kickstarter now, can't they?
Yeah. I mean, the sort of the smorgasbord of options is huge. But I mean, in board gaming, about 70% of everything Kickstarter do is board games at the moment. It's definitely the home of board games.
Yeah. And is this the first game that you've designed? First board game?
Oh, crikey, no! I've got probably about a dozen on the go at any one time that I'm tweaking and refining. But this was the first one that sort of hit a good angle from what we were looking for and size and how much it would cost and things like that when you're factoring all those things into account.
Yeah. So it was the game that really you think stood out amongst your other games.
Yeah, I mean, there's other games that I'd love to sort of throw out there and get into the foray. But there's an understanding that being a new games designer and a new company with Pat is that we want to hit people like the right level where they say, okay, I can invest this amount in these guys I've never heard of, but I'm not going to spend 200 quid on a deluxe edition of something that might be awful. So there's a bit of understanding there that people will take a punt on you, but maybe 23 euros is better than 85 euros, at least for the first one.
And what is the game about? Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the game is at its core, it's a polyomino game, which is best described as Tetris style tiles, which has exploded. I mean, your listeners might be familiar with games like Isle of Cats or Patchwork or New York Zoo, which came out recently.
We had the designer of Isle of Cats on not long ago.
Oh, he's wonderful as well. I listened to his Game Lab cast, and just his joy of making the game as well, and it was wonderful. But so it's very much in that style of placing tiles down and getting them to fit. But where it's maybe a little bit different is we wanted to make a very quick game, a filler game that you could play in 20 minutes, because as wonderful as Isle of Cats is, sometimes me and my wife haven't got that hour to commit to it. And it was like, well, what do we do if we've only got 20 minutes? So I still want to play a polyomino game. Well, let's create something and do something.
Yeah.
And the other big angle for us was I wanted to, rather than sort of doing set collection on the polyomino pieces, I wanted them to kind of fit together in physically, but I also wanted them to fit together in terms of the actions they performed. So, you know, this idea of building a factory and one machine and one room acting on another became kind of the antithesis for this, I guess. Yeah.
And where can people go to back this project? What?
So if they jump onto Kickstarter and search for Factory Floor, they'll find it that way, or they can go to spaceduckgaming.com and there'll be details of it on there as well. And it's coming along on the 16th of February, so not long now.
Well, thanks for coming on today. We really appreciate that, Tom.
Oh no, it's been cracking. Thanks for having me.
And hopefully you can keep us in touch with how the project's going, and we'll come back and we'll take another look at it once it's out.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks very much.